Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Super Movie Buff Podcast. Mattias, Benjamin, FilmmanMike, and myself will be discussing the film The Act of Killing. It can be found streaming on Tubi. This film follows a documentary crew that interviews these people that helped with the genocide in Indonesia and allows them to recreate these killings and such in their own words by making a movie out of it. We explore whether we feel like the documentary brought these people to better empathy or if it was just good filmmaking. On top of that, we also discuss which is the better cut, the original or the director's cut, as well as many other things. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy. So, welcome back. This is we're on the 5th episode now. We have been consistent, haven't we? We've done good.
Yeah.
5 episodes. All right. So, I was talking to Mike about this off pod, but we're going to lead it with him. You got to get on TikTok so that you guys can have TikTok names. Because he's on TikTok now.
Oh, I'm now a TikTok influencer, you guys.
Yes.
I'm now a TikTok movie influencer.
He got his first negative comment the other day. Someone was like, "This isn't even a critique."
Yeah, my first negative comment. Like, oh, I don't know what to do about this.
What movie was it?
Oh, it was a movie I hated called The Little Death, and I basically blasted it for so long in the thing that the guy who commented said, you didn't even really give a critique of the film. You said, I know more about your taste now and why you hate it more than I do about the film. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I hated this film so much. Like,
that's how you know you're doing it right, when they like take the time to negatively comment.
Yeah,
some kind of feeling from this dude.
Yeah.
Well, now you know that you've made it. So
yeah.
That's
what I used to get. I have 40 fans now.
That's what I used to get from my comments and lists on the film groups on Facebook. Whenever I did a list, I did it the wrong way, and I shouldn't do it like that, and it's the wrong opinion, and I was an idiot for thinking like that, and so on. And I always said, yeah, I am an idiot, but not for that reason.
I feel TikTok is less hostile than Facebook.
Really, like he's the only one. Everyone else that's commented has been really positive.
Yeah,
and really,
like, in general, like when I would post a review on Facebook, people would be like coming at me for everything, like from like like you said, like listings to grammar. So on TikTok, it's been majoritively more positive.
Yeah.
But it's
usually... one person actually corrected my grammar, and it was really funny because I had caught it before. But there are subtitles on TikTok that you can manipulate. So I had manipulated the subtitles in the hope that no one else would notice. And so we kind of started laughing, where she was like, I caught it. I know you tried to fix it in the subtitles. And I was like, oh, damn it. Like,
I mean, all you need is for one person to be maybe a little too early, or maybe someone who rewatches the video too many times and sees those kind of mistakes.
Yeah.
Usually the person who dislikes your review like that is someone that loves the movie and hates that you hate their favorite toy. So
yeah, exactly.
You should be happy about it.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about our YouTube channel. No one comments. We never get the hate comments, and I hate that. I want them.
I'll go on there for you.
I'm sorry?
I'll go do some hate comments for you.
Great. I love it. I can't wait.
Should I auto-translate it to Swedish so it gets the extra authenticity of that?
Just send it to us and we'll translate it for you. Yeah, we will do all of that. We just want the hate. You don't feel alive if you're not being hated. I'm always hated in real life. If you're hated, you're doing something right. Yeah, or wrong.
It's like, Mattias, do you remember when I sent you like happy birthday or something, and I sent it in Swedish, and you laughed because you said the way you said this was super formal, like in a way that doesn't actually make sense. Like,
yeah. Why? What did it say?
I can't remember. It was some... It was something like happy birthday or something like that, but I put it into Google Translate, and he said it's obvious you Google translated it because it has no flow in conversational Swedish.
Let me check.
Yeah.
So while he's doing that, Mike, so you only saw the 2-hour version of this movie?
I only saw I think it was the 2 hour version of this movie. To be honest, I was so engrossed in the film, I didn't even notice if it said direction. I found it on Canopy.
Oh, I watched it
On
on,
what?
On what?
on
On what?
Tubi.
Is it like a streaming site or?
Yeah, so
Yeah, like
free streaming services.
my public library hosts a program that you can that it shares movies with other like libraries in the area and across the country.
Well, that's
So-
exactly how we saw it too.
Yeah,
The exact same way.
yeah. So maybe it was the 3 hour
Probably was.
version. I just
That's the
didn't
only version
notice. But
I was gonna just pay to rent it, so I didn't have the ad. But
Yeah.
director's cut. So every
So you're
yeah.
the only one who paid for it.
I didn't
Huh?
pay for it, so I just watched it for free. So every
Yeah.
little bit, they break out the talk of genocide to sell me cheeseburgers.
yeah,
We would kill them, and they'd be like, "Get a burger, Whopper, Whopper."
yeah.
I broke up the vital.
Have we presented what movie we're talking about?
Oh, all right, let's get
Not
into it.
yet.
No,
You ready?
though, I do feel like I need to state, if you're going to watch this at home, just know this is a much heavier movie than we've talked about beforehand. And with
Yeah.
some of the things going on in the world, it might not be a super fun watch. I mean, no matter what, it's not going to be a fun watch. But with things happening in the world, both in America and around the world, it's probably just going with the right headspace. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that does depend because me and Mattias, we laughed quite a lot, but that's only because of how terrible some of the people, or pretty much all of the people, are in it.
there.
Yeah.
So I'm Super Movie Buff 64. Down below, I've got
FilmmanMike.
I'm just Benjamin. I have no other title.
Yeah.
And I'm Mattias Olsson, and I am on YouTube and other places. Not
Yeah.
TikTok, because fuck TikTok.
No, you gotta get out where the cool kids are. And
Yeah, but I'm not cool, so that works.
this month's movie was picked by FilmmanMike, and he chose the documentary "The Act of Killing." So, Mike, tell us about this movie and why you picked it.
Okay. The Act of Killing. It's a 2020 film, 2012, not 2020, 2012 documentary film directed by a guy named Joshua Oppenheimer. And before I go any further, for anyone watching this, there are spoilers in this review. So if you, for some
Always have a
reason,
spoiler.
don't want to, if you don't want this to be spoiled for you, pause it right here and come back after you watch this documentary. It is a document. It's a little bit hard to describe, I think. It's a documentary about a massacre that happened in 1965 in Indonesia. Official statistics say about 1 million people died in this massacre. However, in the movie, I don't know what to say, because in the movie itself, the people who did the massacre in the movie say it was 2.5 million. So take your pick. A lot of people died, I guess, is my basic summary of that. And this documentary, though, is kind of unique in a lot of ways, because it's not a documentary straight up about the massacre. What it is it's a documentary that follows the people and their families who survived the massacre, and it's about helping them process and start to understand what had happened, kind of. But even with that, I say kind of, because the main characters in this documentary are people who did the massacre, who still live among their communities. They're still alive. And it's just a really, really interesting approach, I think, because essentially what this film did as a way of kind of helping people process what happened in their past is it sets up many movies where they reenact the massacres in a variety of different genres, like from gangster films to sort of more horror films to westerns to even some sort of more fantasy films. And even as I'm describing it, I just want to make it clear, the films they create do not diminish the brutality of what happened. They're not making fun of it. They're not degrading it in any way. Like, these films do actually, they don't make light of their subject matter. They're just exploring it through different genres. And it's interesting because you're seeing the perpetrators oftentimes react for the first time in a real way to what they did through these films. Film is a very like empathetic and evocative art form, and it was really interesting to see how these people who have been perpetrators in real life get their perspective changed through what they do in the creation of this film. For example, one of the main characters, he's a guy named Anwar. He himself said that he thinks he killed about 1,000 people by his own hand. And he plays the role of a victim in one of his films. And as he's looking at the playback footage, he starts to cry. And when the director asks him, "Why are you crying?" He says, "I felt incredibly vulnerable and dehumanized in this scene as we were filming it." And he wonders aloud if that's how his victims felt, to which the director says, "No, they felt worse. You knew it was a movie. They knew they were going to die." And his response is simply like, "No, but I'm telling you, this is how I felt." And when you see that, to see that transformation happen on screen is really strange, beautiful, evocative. And this film is also good because these perpetrators are on screen talking about, you know, what they were thinking when they did these massacres, you know, more than at that point, almost 40, 50 years ago. You get a sense of the way that they think. You know, people are always talking about, like, you know, why did Adolf Hitler do what he did, or how did Stalin think, or wanting to kind of figure out, you know, how Mao was able to do what he did. And it's interesting because that's essentially what this film kind of shows you in a different ways. It shows you how these men operated. I don't feel like I'm giving a really good review of this film because it is an odd kind of film in a lot of ways. And like Patrick said up at the top, you definitely have to be in the right mind frame to be able to see it. But I really loved it because it to me, I walked out of this film with a different idea of what a documentary film could do. And there's not been a documentary film, at least that I've seen, that hit me in quite this way and moved me in quite this way. I really left this film thinking about not just how powerful the medium of film is, but, you know, what it means to empathize with another human being and what it means to be able to put yourself in the shoes of another human being. And, you know, again, you know, reflecting on, you know, what circumstances have to be in place in order for a genocide on this scale. Indonesia is not a big country. So 1 million, even if it's only 1 million, not the 2.5 million that they proclaim in the film, that's a lot for the population of a relatively small country. And just kind of, you know, thinking about all that was really interesting to me. And again, it really opened my eyes to the types of things that documentaries could talk about and the types of subjects that documentaries can tackle and how they can tackle it in a different way. And again, I've never seen a documentary film quite like this. And so that's why I'm kind of struggling to put it into words. And that's why I proposed it to the group, because really I saw the film that I was like, I need other people to kind of help me untangle this. And I give it 5 stars out of 5. I loved it. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't turn away from it. But like I said, obviously I'm usually pretty eloquent when it comes to films. And this one, I just can't. It's just my brain isn't functioning on like, what did I see? Like, I can't really describe it any better than what I'm doing now, which is not good. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to pass it to Patrick. Save us, Patrick. This may be our last episode if it goes down like this.
No, I think you're doing a great job. I think it is a difficult film to talk about. I think a couple key points to bring up is that, one, like, they do film what they're doing in the movie, and the style and how they film it is all given to the perpetrators. Like, they're told, make the movie you want to make, and they're not given any restrictions. And you see throughout the movie Western culture's influence on the movies they choose to make, whether it is a gangster movie or a Western movie. They're perpetuating what they feel like has been like westernized cool vibes. And even throughout the film, they go, we are gangsters. What does that mean? It's an American term for freedom. And so they use that idea a lot throughout the movie. And it's staggering to see these people so openly talk about some of the most despicable things you can do to people, or like act out like the ways that they would, like, he's like, this is the best way to kill someone so there's not so much blood. And he's just chill, and he's reenacting it on his friend, just like, oh, we would just do this and we would just line them up all day. And thing to context too is that it took course over an entire year of this happening from 55 to 56. So it's a year of these gangsters going around, and anyone that they decided disagreed with them, they just were allowed to just murder. And so, but then after it was done, they put into power, and then there was no consequence. Like for me, one of the most chilling scenes was when this guy is taking his family to the mall, and he's just shopping for T-shirts and using exercise equipment. And the voiceover is him just talking about like, well, I was never brought to court. I was never punished. So clearly I did nothing wrong in all of those murders. I don't lose sleep. I'm never depressed. Clearly there was nothing morally wrong that I did. And then that's juxtaposed with the guy you were talking about, Mike, because he's constantly like, I have to do ecstasy. I have to get drunk. I have to get high. I have to dance, or it comes back and haunts me. He even had his short film he wanted to do was of a nightmare of like a demon haunting him. And he was like, this is representational of probably the soul's haunting me because I have nightmares every night.
And I want to, before you can go on, Patrick, like I just want to emphasize again, the movies they're creating, they don't trivialize what happened. I just want to make that extra clear, because it can sound like, oh, are they making movies that make fun of what happened, or sort of, you know?
They are to some extent, a little bit, and some of them are, because in their mind, they think what they're doing was right. Like that first one where they had the families and they're burning down the house, like they're laughing about it. They're like, oh, and then you're going to act so scared. We're burning down your house. You're going to hug this ugly kid. You're going to hug your ugly kid, and then we're going to burn down your house. And you're just like, oh my God, like this is horrifying. And then like, you see the way that everyone who wasn't a part of the massacre is like, they're crying, and they're just like, stop crying. You're done acting. Stop crying about it. Like, he's talking to his daughter, and he's like, stop it. Why are you crying? And she's just like, she can't stop crying. She just pretended to have her house burned down. Like, it was, it's a lot to watch. So I just thought those were just my takeaways. All right, pass it off to you guys over there.
Wait, what did you think? You give it your rating. What did you think? Did you like it?
It's hard to rate. I was thinking about that with my letterbox. Like, it's hard to say like I liked or didn't like this movie because it was real life. So like, no, I didn't love this movie. Like, it's not a movie, but it's also, I feel like, a very important movie. Even though I will never watch this movie again, I felt like it was very important. And I think that it did start, because I looked at that too, it did start a conversation about this genocide and kind of brought a lot of this to light around the world, and even in that culture, you know, kind of brought some of that. And so I do think it's a very important and impactful movie that needed to be made, but it feels so trivial to like give it like a rating, if that makes sense, because it's like.
Just two more quick questions, then we'll pass it on to Benjamin and Mattias. Like, so it sounds like if someone were to ask you, would you recommend I see this film, if they were prepared for it and if they knew what it was about and all this stuff, it sounds like you're saying yes.
Yes, like I feel like it's a movie people should watch. I feel like it has an important message to it, and like you said, like that question of like, how do people do this? Like, it shows the way that people are able to justify the most horrendous acts you can think of. Like, some of the things they're acting out, you have to realize are like, we're actually done. Like, there's that scene with like the baby doll that he's eviscerating, and it's just like, you know that they did that for real. Like, and it just, but the way that he justifies it, he's like, you made me do this. You offered your child to me. This is your fault I did this. And just like the way that you can see the way that they justify the most heinous acts, it's unfathomably evil acts, and they're just like, no, I'm the good person in this scenario. Like, the way that they're able to justify that and like live a life after that, you know, is just.
And again, it really opened my eyes to like what a documentary film could be, because I remember right after this I saw a documentary film on Bob Dylan or something, and I went, that's so boring compared to like what they pulled off in this film. Like, I don't know. Sorry, I kind of interrupted the flow of everything, but
I also just was like, I would be scared to be that film crew too, though, knowing that like,
Yeah.
because they would push them sometimes and be like, like, did you think that was okay to do? And like they joke about, like, oh, we'll just stab you. And I'd be scared to like, you're pushing these people.
Yeah.
They really put themselves on the line to make this movie in the first place too. I felt like dangerous cinema.
Mattias, what do you think?
As always, I'm the one that's dragging everything down.
Well, maybe not entirely this time.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought I saw the director's cut, which was almost 3 hours, and that was a mistake. Can I say first of all? I think the first hour is brilliant. I think it's absolutely horrific. It's funny in a very dark way. They say very funny things, and they don't realize it's funny because they are so delusional. And then after an hour, I think it's meandering. I think it's the same thing. They do the same thing for like an hour, and it's just really really boring. And what I mean with that is that the point has come across after an hour. You don't need everything. They show some of the films. It's just the same thing again. It's the I don't know, Herman, the fat guy.
Yeah, his name was Urman Koto.
Yeah, he's there. He's always dressed up as a woman, and he's always crying, and it's always this and it's always that, and it's almost as if he's the guy they pick on in the group, and it's always that. It's every single thing, every single time. It's just pick on him, make fun of him, and then what you said about the doll, there were scenes where I felt that these guys. The film was probably shot over like 7 years, 6, 7 years. So in the beginning, I think they're really cocky and they think, oh, well, this is going to be a hero's journey. We're going to show us as heroes what we did and so on. And then the longer it goes, I think they realize that. So in the beginning, I think they make shit up. I think they say that, oh, well, we did this. There's one scene where the guy, the other one, I don't remember his name. The other main guy, he
Are you talking
says
about
that,
Anwar?
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about Anwar?
Yeah, thank you.
Anwar.
He says that, I used to take this table, and put the leg on on the guy's throat, and then we sat on the chair, on the table, and jumped up and down until he died. I don't think that happened. He's just trying to make shit up. That's the feeling I get, to sound cool that we did this and we did that. And the same thing with that doll. I don't think that he did that. I think that it's just something. Oh, it would have been fun to do this when he gets into it, but I don't think he did it. It's just. And what you said, Mike, about the ending where he starts to cry. I don't believe he's crying. I believe he's faking it. That's the feeling I get. I think he realized that they want an emotion here, and he just pretends. That's the feeling I get. I think it's very interesting that you see the other way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a very important movie. Because of the way that they justify it. They justify it the same way that everybody else does. The Nazis justified it because the Jews were this way, so we have to kill them. Here is the communists, which is not communists, but it's everybody that we don't like. In other places, it's this. So that's very interesting. And the best scene in the film is the one where they're shooting one of their films, and the crew member tells his funny story about how his dad was killed. and he just goes into it and starts as a joke, and then after a while he goes into it, and then they just took him away, and we didn't know anything, and then they dropped him off outside, and we had no money to bury him, so we just had to bury him at the side of the street, and everybody else said, yeah, well, that's what we did, and so that's. Yeah, and there was, I don't remember the funniest line of the film, but the best thing about it was we laughed a lot when we watched it because they said such heinous things. But I would have said I would have wanted to see the shorter version, because I think it doesn't need to be 3 hours long or almost 3 hours long. And I think that the middle part is it's just you don't get any more information, and you know the drill after an hour, and just fine. So I kind of got bored and kind of checked out. So I think maybe that's why I don't believe him in the end. But if they had shortened it and you get that the first hour and then they
Condensed it. Yeah.
and then and then they wrap it up. Maybe that ending when he starts to cry, maybe that's okay. There is something. For me, there isn't anything because I don't believe them, and I follow them for 2 hours, and I don't care at that point. And I know how that sounds, but yeah, that's how I feel.
So if you're not comfortable giving a rating to it, would you recommend it to someone else?
I can give a rating. I give it a very, very weak 6 out of 10 or very weak 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Because it's the meandering. I think the shorter version is a lot better. And so I think, should you see it? Yes, you should. But it is the director himself said when they cut it down from his original version was the longer version, and they cut it down to cinema. And that he said that no one is going to watch an experimental documentary about Indonesia, and that's true. And it is experimental, and I think that's the issue. And the shorter version is probably a lot tighter. So yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's great, and it's not because of the subject matter. I think the subject matter is very important, and and I think it's a brilliant way to just let them speak and basically hang themselves in what they did.
Did you find it as unique as I did? Because that was another thing too. That I was like, I've never seen a documentary tackle a subject like this in this fashion. Would you?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you think of another one, or
I don't watch that many documentaries, but I haven't seen anything where you see the perpetrators do whatever they want and talk about it, and they just talk about it as if they are happy about it. They are proud about it. There is one guy that I don't understand his motivation. He talks about how. Everybody said that the communists were the brutal ones, but we were the brutal ones, and he focuses on that. He says it like 25 times, and I don't get the point of him doing that. Maybe I'm an idiot.
You mean what he's getting out of it?
Yeah, exactly. Because the other ones they do it to show what they did, and they do it as a fun thing, but also look what he did. He is maybe the only one that is actually sad about it. But then he is also the guy in the mall that about that. It's not. I didn't get any prosecution from it, so I didn't do anything wrong. So I really don't understand his point of view. But yeah, go on, Benjamin.
Me, okay. It's always fun to be the last one, but my opinion falls somewhere in line with Mattias. But what I saw with this was basically a portrait of these guys, and I'm guessing the oldest one, what was his name again? Congo.
Anwar?
Yeah, Anwar Congo. He was the oldest one. He was born in 1937. And I'm guessing all of the other ones are maybe they were born in the mid 40s or late 40s, somewhere around that, maybe 50s, which meaning they were between 16 and between 15 and 20 when the massacre took place. I see these as people who have a case of arrested development. These people come across as schoolyard bullies to me, like the biggest losers I've ever seen, basically, because they talk about very early in the movie about before the massacre. They talked very shortly about what they did for work. One worked in a theater, one worked in a library, I think. They talked about what they did. And then the massacre happened, and then for 3 to 5 years, they didn't really work because of the massacre and the war. And then afterwards, we have no idea what they did. And I don't think they did anything, because these guys have never accomplished anything in their entire lives. And they kept the same mentality that they had at the beginning of the massacre. They never left the massacre, which is very understandable because it's a massacre. But they are the perpetrators of the massacre. They're still there. They still have the same bully mentality. And I'm with Mattias. I don't. What I found very interesting is when, if some of them are describing what they're doing, we did this in order to torture someone, and they describe it with glee, it's less believable to me. But but when they start to describe something in a cold and calculated fashion, that's a lot more believable to me, because then I believe you did that. It's almost like I don't want to talk about this because it invokes some sort of emotion in them.
It's like the one where Anwar, he tells the story about how he uh, killed someone without drawing blood with
Yeah, the wire.
yeah, the wire. That seems believable because he does it so effortlessly and he just comes up with it. Where there are other things like the table on the thing and the baby or the doll, and that's just no, I don't buy it. It just seems like you're coming up with ideas to sound cool, or you come up with ideas to sound cold-blooded or something. I don't know the point of it, but
I mean, it could be a mixture of shame. Some of them do. I guess some of them do feel shame, but the only thing they have, as far as I can see, some of them have families, but the only thing most of them have are each other. They don't seem to have anything else. Now, of course, the documentary doesn't go into any huge detail. And what I like about the documentary, I love the format. I've never seen a documentary like this, where they reenact what they did or possibly didn't do during the massacre. And I guess it's done in a way to therapeutically heal their minds or try to help them work through their issues. And that may be the intent of the filmmaker. I think their intention is to maybe experience what they did once again, because, as I said before, these guys come across as huge losers to me. They have nothing. They are nothing. I don't think they've accomplished anything. And of course, you don't have to do great things in order to be a good person, but these people aren't even baseline decent. Now, of course, that makes for a very interesting view. I really like hearing their stories. But yet again, I have to agree with yes. After an hour, I think it lasted a bit longer, maybe after an hour and 20 minutes, I felt I was seeing the same thing over and over again. And from a filmmaker's perspective, point about it, what I felt was that in their minds, they're repeating the same thing over and over again because they have nothing. So I guess the filmmaker wants us to feel like, well, they're just repeating the same thing over and over again. Maybe out of guilt, maybe out of something else. So I get that point, because if you want to make an audience member feel something, you can do that with extending scenes. If you want to make someone feel boredom for a very specific purpose, you can do that by extending the movie, which is, kind of a dangerous thing to do, because if the audience gets bored, they get bored.
Yeah.
But still, I found this a very interesting watch. Although I didn't feel sympathy for any of these people. I didn't believe most of them. But it was very interesting. And is it a recommendation for me? Yes, absolutely. Maybe watch the shorter version, because I don't know how... If the shorter version removes too much, then maybe watch the extended version. But I don't think you can go wrong with either one. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you watch the shorter one or the longer one. This should be watched, because I've never seen a documentary like this regarding people like this who can walk free, even if 70% or 80% of what they say is false. 20%, that still includes maybe at the very least 50 or to 100 people who they killed. It doesn't matter how fake what they say is. They still partook in the massacre. So it's still a recommendation for me.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
I
very
just
interesting...
FYI, I just looked up my version that I saw, and I saw the 2-hour version.
Yeah,
I just looked it up, so I was like, okay.
You were the cheapskate and the short way out. There is a very interesting scene when there is a journalist the beginning of the movie, they talk about an editor of a newspaper who basically out who were going to be killed during the massacre, and then they talk to a journalist who worked for him, and later on in the movie, when the guy who wanted to say that they were more brutal than the communists were, the guy talks to that guy talks to the journalist, and he says, the journalist says, "I never knew you did." And the other guy says, "How can you not? We were in the same office building as you. We had the same. The killing took place in the same office building as you were. How can you not see this? I don't believe you." And then they say, I'm not saying he's a liar, but I don't believe him." And that's
You can see
very
his
fun.
smile. His smile
Yeah.
matches also.
Yeah, and also, good point. You're a journalist. How can you not see this? You must know. Everybody else, like the guy says, everybody else knew. The neighbors knew. Your friends knew. But you, the journalist who's going to write about it, you didn't know. I don't believe you. And that's a very good scene as well. So there's that morality story that obviously the journalist knew, but he chose not to see it. Could tell me that, oh, I didn't know. Like in the Nazi Germany, that they could say that I didn't know they did this. But so that's also something that when he's confronted with it, how does he deal with the morality of ignoring it? That's also a very
I mean, I found that very interesting too, because the movie talks a lot about delusion, about how you delude yourself in order to believe whatever you want to believe. And in regards to that report, because all the other ones, they sort of just make fun of him for buying into his own lie. And it's very morbid and very weird to see like 5 other guys make fun of him because, oh, we knew they were killing people up there. You don't have to pretend. But he's still locked into this delusion, whatever he has. I find that very interesting. And the movie is still filled, even at 3 hours, with these brilliant scenes.
You talked about them being losers, and it reminded me of the way they talk about those gangster films at the beginning of the film. They talk about James Cagney, and they talk about those old sort of gangster films, and it does kind of reflect on what you're saying, that these people are not losers; they're trying to be cool. And in their head, they have this idea of the gangsters from the 30s and 40s films as something to really aspire to be. They talk even about, I think they wanted to dress like them. They wanted to like do things like them. And it just, I don't know. I didn't really think about it from that perspective until you brought up that these are not, it almost reminds me, there's a quote from Hannah Arendt when she was talking about the Nuremberg trials and Eichmann when he finally was put on trial, and she talks about the banality of evil, by which she means we think these evil people are charismatic and larger than life and convincing, and the truth is, she said Eichmann was just boring. He just was a bureaucrat who wanted to look cool for his compatriots, and you get the same feeling from them, especially in those beginning scenes where they're like, oh, we want to be gangsters, we want to be this, we want to be mafia members. It's like, oh, you guys are not you're not doing this because you hate communists. You're doing this because you want to be cool. You want to be what you think of as cool. And so anyway, you just reminded me of that, Benjamin. So that's kind of more to your point, toward what you were saying.
I remind you of a pathetic loser.
What you said about him.
No, I get it.
the general. What was the?
Yeah, there was a great line from. They're sitting in a trench or somewhere in a forest, whatever, and one general, he has a very like smoky voice. It's very hard to. I mean, I can't speak the language, but it sounds like he's very hard to understand. So, thank God for the subtitles. But I think he's talking about, yeah, we invaded a village and it was full of women, and yeah, I raped them all. It's all said so casually, and that's usually what we sometimes chuckled at, or not, maybe not outright laughed at. But these guys are, maybe some of them are maybe outright lying. But if, in my experience when watching these types of, because I watch true crime, I find it fascinating. But the more casually someone mentions something, usually, not always, the more likely it may be to be true. Because to them, it's just, this is what we did during the day, and then we moved on. And the way he said it, it went from being kind of funny because, in the subtitles, yeah, I met these women, then I raped them all. And I would continue rape the other women in the next village. It's kind of funny because of how morbid it is, but then he continues talking. And then it's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
Not at all. But that might not be what you're talking about, Mattias.
But it is, and I'm curious what you guys think of this, because there are people that think that Anwar was just lying about him killing 1,000 people. That people, experts and critics and whatever, have said no, it wasn't 2.5 million; it was just 1 million. But so the thought that kind of came to my head as I was looking at it was like, what does it say about you though, as a person, that that's the lie you want to tell? That you want to be seen as more of a killer, not less of a killer, if that's the lie that you're going to go with.
Isn't that the thing, that if he killed 5 people during the massacre, he was a loser? If he killed 1,000, he was a monster, but among his friends, because
An
that's
impressive monster.
yeah, that's basically all he hangs out with. Then he was among the top of them, maybe. So I think that's the thing. Because I think he was part of the massacre, and I think he killed people. But it's better to just say that I kill much more, because it's more impressive for his peers.
I mean, it's very similar to when when a serial killer extends the numbers of victims they have. They might have only, I mean, one is too many, obviously, but they might extend it from, I don't know, 10 victims to 200 or 300. Yeah, sure. I don't think you've killed 100 people. I think he is a very. What I find fascinating to think about is how would these men have been if there wouldn't have been a massacre or a war or anything? And what you said, Michael, about the banality of evil, I don't think these people would have killed anyone necessarily. They would probably have been maybe not normal, but very unempathetic, boring people who live menial lives and do some menial task. Not evil in any way, but this massacre gave them an outlet for maybe boredom or something. I think they lived very boring lives, and they saw this massacre as a way to have fun, basically. Maybe not in the beginning. Maybe some of them believed in the cause or whatever. But still, that's what they remind me of. Some of them remind me of cold serial killers, while the others are just their followers, like Ehrman. He seems like the ultimate follower. He lets them make fun of him. They dress him up. I don't think dressing him up as a woman is necessarily degrading him, because I think he's dressing up as a very specific type of character in folklore or whatever. Because I think in one of them, I get the feeling that he's dressing up as the spirit of the village, or the spirit of the place they come from. I think it's a very important part. But still, they make fun of him. They talk shit about him all the time. So in order for people like this to actually succeed, they need people to follow them and do whatever they ask. And he seems to be the most pathetic out of them, which is kind of funny, because the scene with when they're stabbing the teddy bear, he is by far the best actor. I almost believe him when he does that, while the other ones are just horrible actors, which I found kind of funny.
Yeah. So I know Patrick got kicked off or whatever, but do you want to tell us what your film is? Do we want to transition to that?
Oh, real quick, I want to talk about
Oh, you are back. Sorry. Sorry.
You continue that? I mean, I see how it is. Was that his name? Anwar? Is that how we say his name? The two things about his character, it's a real movie, about his person that I thought was interesting, is that at one point, the way that he's framing it, because he says, it's like he realizes what he was doing. And he talks about how I was killing people that didn't want to die. And I thought that was like a really interesting way to frame it. Like in his mind, he's kind of realizing, oh wait, these could have been real people. Like he's so caught up in it. And then the final scene, going back to what you guys were saying about it being kind of fake, what did we think of the scene of him vomiting at the end of the movie? Because there's that like the almost like the last part of the movie, he's at the place where he supposedly executed everybody with that wire, and he just starts like throwing up. I don't know if that was in the theatrical cut that you saw, Mike.
No, it is in the full-length version. I remember the scene. He makes the same guttural noise some other time in the movie. He doesn't vomit, but he makes the same noise.
Subtitle says throwing.
Yeah, I think he's throwing up.
I didn't see him any vomit as well. I heard the sound, but I didn't see him do. I think it's just a theater. I think he's just. I think the whole thing. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Benjamin, but considering
I would never
our
do
show
that to
where you
you.
always do that, so it's fine. I think that this documentary is like 7 years in the making. That scene and where he cries is probably the last time they are meeting up. And I think that he has figured out that the director wants something from him. And I think that it is that he's making up. Oh, I'm gonna have to cry because it makes me so sad. And then he's throwing up because he's disgusted by what he has done. I think it's just him trying to. First of all, I think if he has changed, it's taken 7 years for him to change. 7 years of doing this to get to that point. First of all, I don't think that's true. But if it has, it tells quite a lot about him that it's until basically the last time where he finally understands. I don't think it does, but sure. But I think it's just him. I know that either the director has told him, we want this, which they do in documentaries. Documentaries are not true. Or it's just him trying to get something.
Elicit an emotion or something.
And I don't believe that. But then again, I didn't see any throwing up. I just heard the sound. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
So that I think he was trying to get something out of him, but he couldn't. That's my take on it. Yeah.
That's what I find interesting about that is the documentary mostly consists of them telling us about how they feel. What I find really interesting about the documentary is that there is no documentary footage from the massacre. I think they show one picture. I think one of the guys is holding up a picture that is from the 70s or something. Like he points at it and says, "This is me." That's it. There's no historical footage. There is no black and white photos. The only thing we have is what they tell us, which I find very interesting. So I guess another type of documentary would use those types of historical pictures in order to fill in the blanks. But this type of a documentary, it focuses exclusively on them. And if they are lying, whatever. They have decided to live a lie, to spend their entire life living that lie, which still works in the movie, in my opinion, because it's still about the type of person who can go through this type of massacre and be the cause of the massacre and still somehow find a way to make it out perfectly unscathed in the end, at least in their own opinion. That's what I find really interesting about it.
I was gonna say that as well when we watched it. Very early on when it reminds me of Showa, the Holocaust movie from
the 9 hour.
The 9.5 hour documentary where there was also no archive footage at all. Everything is filmed for the documentary. So yeah, I just want to say that it reminded me of that film in many ways. Yes, I'm sorry once again to piss on your parade, Michael, with your favorite movie, and we think it's crap.
No, this was the movie we talked last time about, how we all seem to agree on more or less what we feel about the movies we've been presenting on some level. And I was like, I think this one will be the one that has the widest kind of range of opinion so far. And it did. It did. I won.
Great.
It succeeded.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what are we watching?
Let's see. I decided to pick a movie that is not nearly as heavy, but I love it and it's fun to talk about. I want to talk about Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
I recently saw it in a theater in Sweden, so they showcased it there. So I have this urge to talk about it.
Okay. 19, just so we're clear, 1992 sci-fi horror film. Is that what we're...
Yes, that is correct, with Pierce Brosnan and Jeff
Yeah, I
Fahey.
see Pierce Brosnan. Okay.
You can find the extent. There are two versions of this movie. One theatrical release that is 1 hour and 45 minutes. And then there's an extended version that is 2 hours and 20 minutes or something. And the extended cut, you can find it on YouTube. It's in HD and everything.
Nice.
It's been up for the past 2 years, and YouTube hasn't removed it.
Can someone download it so it doesn't leave YouTube now that we're going to talk about it? That has happened before.
Well, I've got
If they
someone
suddenly
has to
get
say-
traffic.
Kong movie
Yeah.
downloaded that you recommended.
I'm sorry?
I've got that Kong movie downloaded that you recommended.
Yeah. So someone should download this one as well.
Okay. Lawnmower Man.
Sounds good. That should be.
It's the best movie ever made.
About lawnmower and men.
Yes.
Yeah.